All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to the Rogue Hangout. It's Alesha Drew here, and today I am joined by Chris down there, and Sheena, and the lovely Stephanie. And John Paul should be joining us a little bit later on. We're happy to have you all here with us today. And this is a very interesting and exciting topic today. We're going to be talking about the psychology of money, money, and prosperity. So with that being said, if you do have any questions or comments, you can leave them below this video. We'd be happy to hear from you and hit that like button. And we're really glad that you've joined us today. We want to actually share this topic with you today to maybe, give you a few ideas and share a few personal experiences of ours on how to actually achieve a healthy relationship.
Joining us a little bit later on. We're happy to have you all here with us today.
Muting that down, sorry about that. And just to kind of, as I mentioned, share some ideas and either shift a little bit of your programming, your mindset towards sustaining a healthy relationship with money. So with that being said, the biggest stress in people's lives is money. And it's usually a lack of money. But the real problem isn't actually the lack of money. It's actually the relationship with money. And sometimes we're not even aware of how our relationship is with money. And it's usually caused by programming. And what I mean by programming is our thoughts. And our thoughts lead to our feelings lead to our actions, and our actions lead to our results. And usually our programming comes from growing up, whether it be with our family, whether it's something our parents said, something our teachers said. And it's what we know, and we don't know what we don't know, especially when we're growing up. And if we're not aware that maybe we could shift our mindset a little bit when it comes to money, then everything stays the same. But if we become aware of it and we're actually willing to change what we thought we knew, if we're willing to actually let go of the feelings and thoughts that we had regarding money, it can actually help us towards our success. And I want to actually define the definition of prosperity. Prosperity is the relationship with money that actually enhances and supports your total experience. So everybody's definition of prosperity is going to be different. Every individual is going to have their version of prosperity. And so we ultimately want to have a prosperity that supports and enhances our total experience in our life. And how do we achieve that? We achieve that through shifting our mindset, through shifting our programming. Because as I mentioned before, our programming is our thoughts, which leads to our feelings, which leads to our actions, which leads to our results. So with that being said, I want to shift gears a little bit and throw it over to Sheena, if she can share some personal experiences of hers with dealing with relationships with money and what she's seen maybe within our industry with other people, and just some thoughts and ideas on the topic.
Thanks, Alesha. Hi, guys. So today we're talking about money and the philosophies on it, and I've seen a lot of people every time when they need something or when they want something but they can't have, their biggest reason is I don't have the money. And when you start speaking in that tone, it's just negative energy that you have towards money. I mean, we all used to say it, right? I don't have enough money for this, I don't have enough money for that. But when you start changing your words and start reading books that help you manifest money, things start to change, right? It all starts with your mindset, I believe. And there's a ton of books out there that talks about money. One of the books that I'm currently reading right now is Tony Robbins' Money Mastering the Game, which is a great read. A big eye opener, because he shows you things that that we never thought was possible, right? How you can invest your principal and make money, or without losing the principal on its own. Because we always seem to think people are afraid to invest money because they're always afraid they might lose the money that they put in. But if we have something that's a win-win situation, then it makes us think differently. And also, we all have this financial lifestyle or financial dream that we want to do, whether it's being free, living in the comfort of your own home, or traveling around the world. A lot of people seem to think that there's this big amount that they need, right? But if they just sat down and actually calculated how much it really costs, it's really like a fraction of it, right? Let's say, like, because I did a blog post on, the stages of your financial dreams, and if you want, you can just ask me what the post is, and I'll send it over. But basically, it's just telling you, it doesn't cost as much as you think, right? When you figure out how to, when you figure out the cost of every single thing, most of the time it's like less than half of what you need. And you have to start thinking that um, it is possible, right? Especially when you have a number that is something you can attain, right? A lot of people think they need $1 billion, but if you're living in like Thailand, $1 billion is way more than enough, especially with the cost of living when you think about it, right? Or anywhere in Asia. So those are some of the things that I've found with money, and just being appreciative of money, right? I mean, when you go buy a cup of coffee, just saying, thank you, money for helping me, be able to buy that cup of coffee, or, when you have money coming in, whether it's $1 or $5 or $100, be thankful for it. Every time I get a commission or every time I get a sale, I'm thankful for it. I don't care if it's $7, I don't care if it's $25. Money is money. Like, be thankful for every amount that you get. Because when you're not thankful about it, when you're just thinking, oh, that's all I got. I only got $7. Like, your relationship with money is like you don't like it. You only want a certain amount. And every penny counts, right? It's always be thankful. And I actually got this note from one of our for like a women's support group, right? She always says, just always be thankful about it. Get up and just be like, if you take a look at your bank account, be thankful for the money you have in that bank account. We always have this mindset of abundance, right? And the more we're thankful for it, the more we can receive more. And another great tip is, also, they say to give away 10% of your money, right? Because it's like this, I guess, psychological thing. Like when you give away money, it means you have more coming in. So you're not afraid to just give that money away because you expect more. You always get it back in return. And I believe that, right? When you just give away and not even think of the outcome, you always get it back. So those are some of the things that I have when it comes to money. I mean, if you're watching this, I say just pick up a book. Some of the greatest books you could read is what Tony Robbins has, Money Mastering the Game, because it doesn't matter if you have $1, $100, or $1,000, you can still invest money with that, right? Another one is T. Harbecker, the Millionaire Mindset. That's a great book to read. There's kind of money affirmations that you can say to yourself, right? I mean, I also do the same thing. I say, money works for me. Money will always, I'll always have more than enough money. Things like that. Because when you start saying things, that will give you more versus less, for some reason, things start to attract you. And, I don't know how to explain it, but just, you just find things in the most odd places, right? Like you forget you got. I get emails constantly thinking, oh, you have money in this wallet, and I didn't even know about it. I totally forgot about it, right? But this is some of the clues that we get, right? And we start saying these affirmations, having this different mindset of it, right? The little things start to appear. The universe will leave you clues, like maybe you watching this hangout, right? This could be the clue for you to start learning how to be appreciative of money, learning to have a good philosophy of money, and how it can help you. We can help you make money in the comfort of your own home, right? So that could be one thing. That's about it for now. Sorry about that. I kind of rambled on.
Yeah, that was great, Sheena. I think you really touched on some great points there, especially with, being grateful for what we have. Whether you have $1, whether you have $1 million, be grateful because there's always somebody out there that has less than we have. And
Actually, sorry, and it doesn't really matter how much money you have. Someone can have $1 million and someone can have $1,000, but if that person doesn't know how to manage that $1 million, they can go away in like 2 weeks because they have no relationship with money, right? Or they don't know how to handle money, which is why they need to read certain books like how to, like Money Mastering the Game, because it teaches you how to, live financially free without having to work, making money in your sleep, and I've seen it. I guess like when people win the lottery, you hear a year later they lost it all, and people wonder how did they do that, right? Because they don't have that. They don't know how to handle money. So yeah, that was one thing.
Yeah, that's a great point too, Sheena. I've heard that a lot too. You hear of these people winning millions of dollars and then, they're bankrupt. It's all gone. And I think to myself, what happened, Like, what happened to this person? And it's so right. A lot of people don't understand money and therefore they fear it, therefore they don't like it, therefore they deter it away from themselves because they don't know how to manage it. And as you mentioned, Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game, I'm actually right in the middle of that right now. That is just amazing for anybody who knows nothing about money. They can come in and they can start understanding money and what they need to do with their life. I think it's just an amazing thing that Tony put together, and information that isn't just out there for people, that people don't even know exists. And it's a great way to get educated on it, and I think that's key to actually having a relationship with money. And, it is mindset. Mindset is everything. And you want to make money your friend. And there is this big misconception out there that, how does it go? What's the saying in the Bible? I've just gone blank. Money is the root of all evil. That one.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not. The love of money is the root of all evil. Is actually what it says. It's not money. So there's this actually big conception on that and how it's worded. I'm not an extremely religious person myself, so I may have quoted it wrong, but that's not how it was meant to be perceived. It's actually the love of money is the root of all evil. Okay, it's not the actual money. Because money actually gets us where we want to go in life. It's just a tool. And if we don't have that, we can't provide for ourselves, we can't provide for our family, and we certainly can't change a small part of the world if we don't have it. And I think that's a huge perspective to think about. If you're somebody that wants to leave a legacy in their life, if you want to, build water wells in Africa, if you want to give to your favorite charity, if you want to change somebody's life, you can't do that unless you have the money. And that's why the relationship is so critical. And you will attract it into your life once you shift your mindset a little bit. So it's really interesting. Stephanie, do you want to share your thoughts on the topic?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Alesha. Now, I wanted to shift a little bit and give you guys different perspective and stories. Now, for me, money is a type of currency that exchanges for services or exchanges for action. For example, when I was teaching my children, I have a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, the value of money, we started with poker chips. We had the red one and the blue one and the white one. You needed like 5 white ones to make 1 red one, and then you need to have like 3 red ones to make a blue one. So I wanted to teach them, okay, you can barter, you can save up for more, or you can exchange for something else. So I wanted to teach them the concept of money is just a symbol of exchange for services. And then the second step I took was I started giving them allowances. So if they, made their bed, they get like 1 week, they get a quarter. If they put away dishes, if they put away trash. So the money was valued to certain actions. And of course, if they misbehaved or if they mistreated certain object, that was going to cost them money back. So they have to pay me the fine, right? Of course, they didn't like it. And then maybe about a month later, we saved up the money and I allowed the children to take their own money and go shopping at the toy store. Now, before we did this exercise, the kids, they went straight to the Lego section. They went straight to, what their favorite brand toys. And they just said, Mom, it's only $50. Or Mom, this is what my friends have. Mom, you're not being fair. You're depriving us from having what everybody else has, right? And I thought, okay, if you guys are having a concept of thinking this is only $50, and then I know that it's all in the packaging. Once they bring that toy home, they open up the boxes. You know how when you go to the toy store, there's this huge box. But when you take out the actual stuff, it's like this big, right? So when we go through that, is it really worth $50? So all those things are, thinking in my head. But how can you explain that to a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, right? So what I started doing was I made them work for the money and earn it. And whatever the money they had, they can spend it. I allowed them, I let them spend it. And then when we had that exercise, it's no longer, it's only $50. They were thinking like, Mom, how many dishes do I have to put away in order to make $50? Or how many beds do I have to make in order to make $50? So there's thinking shift. The value of money and the way they view the money shifted. And then so I gave them ideas like if you really want the toy, if you really want that object or whatever you want to get, number one, we can wait for the sale, or number two, we can go to maybe perhaps garage sale, and number three, we can go to like Craigslist and eBay and see if the other people are offering it for a cheaper price. So once they learn that concept of money is just an object or an item to trade or barter services, or an idea or the feeling that they get from obtaining that certain object. And the second story I wanted to tell you was that my grandmother, this is back in like 1940s, early 50s. My grandmother was one of the members of the Korean Revolutionists. And then this is when the Japanese came to control Korea. And then this is a time when nobody had money. This is a time when nobody had money, and there was a huge fear among everybody, thinking that in order for the country to control a country, you have to get rid of the educated people. You have to get rid of the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, and you get rid of the education and the books and the system, then you can control the country or the province, right? So what happened was, my grandmother was part of the members who fought against it, and she wanted to maintain the language, maintain the education, and maintain the core essence of the Korean culture, right? So what she did was, whenever there were, it was kind of like Harriet Tubman's Underground Railroad. Whenever the teachers or educators would come, my grandfather would teach the men the farming skills, and my grandmother would teach them domestic skills, like teaching them how to sew and teaching them how to cook. Because back in the day, the educators, they had pale face because they're always in the classroom. They don't know how to work with the tools. They don't know how to mend clothes and stuff. So what they did was they taught those teachers and doctors and lawyers how to become like regular people, how to cook, how to farm, right? And because these teachers had shared the same idea, shared the same desire, had the same goal of keeping a same legacy, there was no need for exchange of money. There was a feeling of prosperity, feeling of understanding. Okay, they understand what I want. I understand what they want. We're gonna get there together. So they trusted each other, and they barter services without exchanging currency. Okay, so that's my take of prosperity and my take on money.
Yeah, that's some great stories there, Stephanie. Definitely a different perspective, and kind of very powerful stories actually. And you kind of really touched on what the value actually is of what money is and what actually means to different people in different situations, which is a really, really interesting perspective there. Because that's all it is. Money is just energy. And if you have a negative mindset with it, you're going to block that energy, and it's not going to come to you. It's like if somebody kept saying to themselves, I don't want to be broke, I don't want to be broke, I don't want to be broke, if they keep saying that instead of saying, you know, I am going to be successful, your unconscious mind, all it hears is the word broke because you keep saying it over and over and over again. So that's all you're going to keep getting. Now, whether you believe in the law of attraction or, you know, anything to do with the unconscious and conscious mind, it's working for you or against you whether you like it or not. So if you've got these negative thoughts constantly going through your head, you need to become aware of it and shift that. It's difficult. It's not easy to shift a thought that you've had for so long, and it could be a thought that you've had your entire life, and all of a sudden you've realized that you may need to shift that. And it does take time, but when you become aware of it and you realize that that's what your unconscious mind is hearing over and over, and that's what you keep getting, you realize that something needs to change. And I think a lot of people may feel a little bit guilty, they may feel embarrassed, they may feel bad because they think that they suddenly realize that what they thought their whole lives, what they thought was right, may actually need to shift a little bit. And that's where we need to kind of drop our egos and realize, okay, maybe I need to shift my thinking a little bit if I want to change my situation. So it's very interesting how it works. Our unconscious minds, they never stop. You know, our conscious minds can only focus on between 4 and 7 pieces of information, minus a couple on each side. And our unconscious mind is focusing on everything at the one time, and it never switches off. It never switches off. So be really conscious about what you're thinking and what you're putting into your mind. You know, we always like to say, you know, stand guard to the door of your mind and feed it something good. If you're sitting in front of the television all day watching negativity, what's going to be inside your unconscious mind? That's all that's going to be in there. You know, that's really not going to help you get to where you want to be. So there's some things to think about there. But now let's bring Chris out so he can share some of his ideas on this topic.
Thanks, Alesha. I feel like the Lone Ranger here. I got the only male in the room.
Well, John Paul should be here soon. Hopefully.
Okay.
He's normally here each week, but hopefully he'll make it on. Fingers crossed.
I was going to wear my Pats jersey for him, but figured I'd be nice. So the first thing that kind of came to mind was, you know, people may hear us talking here about money, and they're like, you know, what's all this talk about money? Why is money so important? But think of it this way. Money's like oxygen. How long can you live without it? So think about that for a minute. How long could you live without oxygen or money? You need both of them to live, really. One other book out there that's really good with money is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So if you haven't read that book, one of the things that he teaches in that book is if you can learn how to replace your expenses, your monthly expenses, with passive income, you set yourself free. So whatever that is, let's say your monthly expenses are $3,000 a month. If you could find a way outside of your job to make $3,000 a month, now all of a sudden you become free, and more choices are available to you, more options. But most of what we learn, I think this was mentioned earlier, most of what we learn about money probably comes from our parents, and they probably learn from their parents. So there may be things that are passed along from generation to generation that isn't necessarily true, or not good things to believe. So it's all mindset that's programmed, that sometimes you need to change that programming a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I heard a couple good things this week, some stories I wanted to share. So this one may be going on a limb a little bit, but let's say you got a call from your mother. Your mother calls up, she got arrested, and she's in jail, and she needs money to bail herself out, and she's calling you asking for help. Oh, but I need $5,000 to get out of jail. You would find a way to come up with that $5,000, right? Most people would be able to find that money, because a lot of times I can't afford it. And rather than saying that, change it around a little bit and say, how can I get the money, or where am I going to get the money from, rather than I don't have the money, or I don't know where the money's going to come from. Just change it around a little bit, and your subconscious mind will go to work for you and come up with ways on how to come up with money. Another good one, kind of along the same lines, was let's say a friend of yours, and maybe this friend is wealthy. He just won a car, a really expensive car, and he doesn't really need it. He said, "I'll let you have it. It's all paid for. You just got to pay the taxes on it." And the taxes are $5,000. If you're going to get for basically nothing, all you got to do is figure out how to come up with $5,000. You'd come up with ways. You'd come up with ways to come up with the money. One of the things, so since I've been involved in this business, one of the biggest things we teach is mindset. So some of the books I read, just listening to people masterminding with people like this, you learn to kind of change your thinking. And instead of me now saying, well, I can't afford that, or I don't know how I'm going to come up with the money, I'll say, how? And a lot of times I like to write out some challenges for my subconscious mind before I go to bed. I'm like, how am I going to do this? I'll write it out and kind of let my mind work. And a lot of times I'll wake up in the middle of the night with ideas, and I'll have to write them down, or I'll get up and I can't sleep because I just came up with this great idea of how to do something. So I got a real life example. A year ago, actually, we were going to one of our events in Orlando, and I bring my family, my wife, and my 2 boys with me, and I bought the tickets for the event probably back in October, and now it was coming time to make our travel arrangements. And at the time, we were going through some struggles, and I didn't have the funds available. But I'm like, we're going to go. I don't know how we're going to go, but we're going to figure out a way to get there. And maybe a week or 2 before the event, we got something in the mail, and all of a sudden we had this money available we didn't know we had. We were able to buy our plane tickets and pay for the hotel. But you asked us 3 weeks before the event, we weren't really sure how we were going to get there. We just knew we were going to go. So it's all a matter of mindset. Kind of changing your thinking around, rather than, like Alesha said, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. You're programming your subconscious mind. Instead of saying that, say how. How can I do this? How am I going to be able to do this? Or how am I going to get the money to do this? So kind of change your mind, let your subconscious mind go to work and come up with some ideas. So those are my thoughts on money.
Yeah.
So your words have a lot to do with it. What you say. Sometimes if you say something negative, that's what your subconscious mind hears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great, Chris. It's funny. I was actually going to mention a couple of analogies similar to what you just mentioned. I'm going to touch on that a little bit with the jail analogy that you spoke of. It's such a powerful analogy when you think about it, because if you really get into that analogy, the person who is providing that $5,000 to get their loved one out of jail, they're not actually receiving something in return. What they're receiving is the person, and that person has so much value to the other person that they'll do anything. They'll do whatever it takes to find that money. There isn't a second thought of, oh, I don't have the money. It's, how can I find that money? Where am I going to get it from? And suddenly you think of all of these resources and people that you can speak to and things that you can do, and how am I going to do this? And you know that time is against you with that kind of a situation, and suddenly there's a sense of urgency because your loved one is somewhere where you don't want them to be, and you have to get them out. So the value behind getting that money provides the motivation to allow that person to do that. And I think it's a great analogy, especially within our community. if you're watching this video right now, you can feel free to hit the button below and just get in right now. You know, you can be on Hangouts just like this with us. It's a lot of fun. And, you know, we go into a lot of different types of mindset training, and that's how we all know and can share what we're sharing with you today. Because we all made a shift in our minds, and we all realized that we wanted a change in our lives, and this community could provide that for us. And, you know, it's all about the small shift. And as Chris mentioned with Robert Kiyosaki's book, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I love that book. It's great. And I also love that there's a children's version of that as well. I don't know whether you're going to get your kids to read that, whether you, Chris and Stephanie, whether you've, yep. When I read there was a children's book about that, I'm like, that is awesome. You know, if I ever have a child, I'm going to get that book ready, you know, because that is just unbelievable information for a child to read. So that's really, it's really crucial, and I think it also comes down to what the kids are actually learning in school as well. I mean, that's a completely different topic, but it is about what, you know, what we get growing up with our school, with our family, with our friends, everything that's coming at us 24 hours a day. It makes our programming. And another huge, powerful programming is the television, okay, the media, what we see. And I'm going to use a huge example of this, you know, Money is Evil, the Titanic. What did we see on the Titanic? We saw the rich people. They were evil. They were mean. And then we saw the poor people. They were all happy and, you know, happy-go-lucky, you know, celebrating, and that's the images that we saw. And I love that example because it's the epitome of what majority of people believe about money. They see the rich people and they see, oh, those people are not nice, they're mean people. I don't want to be like them. So why would I want to have money? You know, I'd rather be happy. And, you know, wouldn't you rather be happy and have the money to actually do the things that you want to do when you want to do them with who you want to do them with? I mean, that's what we're about here. You know, it's freedom. That's what ultimately everybody wants. So as John Paul walks in the door, he'll be joining us in a minute. I have a powerful quote here, and I actually heard this from Tracy Walker, one of our leaders within our community. I love Tracy. She rocks my world, everything she says. And she actually talks a lot about money, about this topic, and a lot of what I've learned has actually come from her. And she actually learnt this from a friend of hers, and she says, don't ever take advice from someone that you're not willing to switch places with. And when I heard that, I thought, wow. I think I was listening to an audio and I was in a retail store, and I think I just stopped dead in my tracks. It was so simple. Don't ever take advice from someone that you're not willing to switch places with. And let that sink in for a minute. There are so many of us out there that take advice from people that you would never want to switch places with. You think about it. There are so many people out there that are not living the life that they want, that are slaving away, they're not happy, but they will point the finger at you and tell you what you should be doing. And you want to think about that and think, wow, should I really be taking advice from somebody that doesn't have the life that I would like to live, that I would like to model? So, welcome.
Welcome. Yes.
Chris was feeling a little, you know, I don't know what the word is.
Apprehensive?
Because he was surrounded by the women, but I told him that you'd be here soon. So.
Yeah, I was out spending money. Speaking of money, I was out spending a bunch of it. Yeah.
And how was that experience?
Yeah.
And hold up the shopping bag.
Actually, I don't like going shopping. I actually don't like it. First, but that's.
Well, the thing is, you know, it's actually not too bad with me because generally speaking, men don't like to shop with women, but I'm actually a woman who knows what she wants, and I just go and I get it, and then we go home. For me, there's no floundering around and going to 500,000 different stores. We just go and get the stuff and we go home. So I tell him he's very lucky to go shopping with me.
Well, I don't like going shopping because I don't like bad customer service, and it's hard to really get really good customer service anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I do, generally speaking, you know, even as a guy, I do have questions, you know. So it's something where I still have questions on stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
we were just sharing our thoughts and ideas on the topic of money. So if you have anything you'd like to share, go right ahead.
on money, you know, well, it's a tool, and really you just got to make it work for you instead of working against you. You know, that's the main thing that I've gathered, you know, throughout my years was, you know, I'm kind of thinking how I want to say this so this doesn't come out all screwed up, but I would really say that, you know, I gotta think for a moment on how I want this to come out. You know, when you were exchanging time for money in a normal job, no matter how hard you work, you know, no matter how hard you work during that time, you're still only getting paid for that time during those hours. Doesn't matter. You could be running a marathon in those 6 hours. It doesn't matter. You could also be having your feet up on a desk for those 6 hours. Those hours are, you know, exchange time for money. And, you know, whenever I started siphoning money from my job over into, I guess I want to say, you know, my, not really freedom fund, but over into my business, into our business, that's where we started basically leveraging money. Because, you know, you can do powerful things with it. You can exchange it for tools and resources, and you can have people do tasks and stuff that you don't want to do. I mean, there was a real interesting topic. I don't even know what podcast I was listening to a couple of weeks ago. You know, I'm always listening to stuff and reading everything that I can get my hands on too. And they were talking about how there's so many engineers in the world, and there's so many people going to college for specialty things, and we're running out of people in the world to actually do skilled tasks. Fix the roads, build the bridges, maintain the bridges, build the buildings, maintain the buildings. Everything that we've kind of created since the 60s is now basically kind of imploding around us, and the skill sets of certain people are actually in more demand now than they ever were in the past. When you look at what happened with the farming industry was basically just killed, and now it just went on to big farmers and people that are using like GMO crops and things like that. Everything now, it got basically mass-produced in big ways. Like we went grand in the true American fashion, which should cost money. And everybody made really good livings for a long time. You know, I don't even know how much. Did you cover any of this stuff already? I don't want to really.
No, we didn't actually.
Okay, good. So I was going to say, I don't want to touch into something like this, but it all involved money. And there was just all those specific skill sets, whether it was welders, whether it's mechanics, all those things. Even plumbers now are going on right now. I mean, a plumber. You know, something that when you think plumber, you don't think millionaire at all. But a plumber in New York City can actually go along and make multiple 6-7 figures a year, without all based on one really easy thing, and that comes down to marketing. Now there could be 2 plumbers on the same block. One of them's doing multiple 7 figures, and the other one's doing, you know, a third of that. Why? One of them knows marketing. And to do that, they're leveraging money in order to do it. You know, for every dollar spent, you know, they're trying to get $2 back. You know, that's now when you're talking about building wealth. And when you start looking at it in a different way, you know, that's when we're talking about economics. It's just, you know, we live in a world that rotates because of, not because of money, but because of marketing. Marketing and advertising. You know, you're wearing glasses that were advertised to a doctor in a store. You're wearing a top that was advertised in some way. You bought your iPad because it was advertised and marketed to you in a certain way. There's everything that you have around you. When you look around, it's marketed or advertised to you in some way, shape, or form. Almost everything, and even to knowledge. Knowledge was marketed as well to you as well. If you went to college, you basically shopped for a college, and they did marketing, even for your college education. So that's where now we're not, when we talk about, marketing online and just marketing in general and advertising, it all rotated around money. And it was just the perception of how we viewed it as a tool and a resource to do more for us and to do more for your business, which then in turn does more for your family. And, money is not, it's not a four-letter word. It's not. We need to stop viewing it as one. And when you think about it, it's never you have a money problem. You might have a lack of money problem. That's really the only problem you might have, and that all starts up here with your skill set or your mindset on how you view it. Like I used to get like literally highs if I had to go out and have like my whole paycheck at the time whenever I was younger. If I had my whole check and I had that, and I knew that I had to like pay for insurance on my car, if I had to pay all my rent and everything, there was like nothing left over. I would literally get hives, like break out on my face and on my neck, like every time I had to go pay those bills. Every single time. And then if I wanted, and God forbid I wanted to be a good boyfriend, holy cow. Now I got to take my girl out on a night on the town or something. Holy smokes, now I'm really messing up. Because I viewed money wrong. I didn't view it as the experience that it was going to get me. I didn't view it as, we were going to go watch a movie, or we were going to go out and have a nice dinner, have a good conversation, be around friends and family, things like that. And, oh God, I was a cheapo, really, when I was younger. Like, God bless my nieces and nephews, because, they're the ones that really got the short end of the stick, because I was the cheap guy around Christmas. And I felt so bad because how I viewed money, because I was like, God, I don't even have, like, enough for myself and everything I got going on. So I had to look at money differently, and I had to go, okay, well, basically, I'm not working harder than the guy that's over there in the hedge fund that's actually working less and, like, physically not exhausting himself as much. Why on earth am I actually making a fraction of that salary? And then I started looking around and going, well, that's a me problem. That's what it is. That was a me problem, and that was my thinking on everything. It wasn't anything else. And I was like, there's no difference. There's no difference at all. That guy basically specialized in a certain skill and became an expert in it and marketed himself to get the job that he wanted. Surrounded himself with good friends, good people, good things that he was still interested in order to get what he wanted out of life. And I said, way to go. And I started looking at things a different way, and I just shifted my perception a little bit about money. And, I mean, to this day, do I still like spending a lot of money? Not really. But there's certain things, though, that I don't have no problem spending money on. Like, we all have our vices. With Alesha, it's anything Madonna-related. With Sheena, I think it might be tube tops. No, I don't know. I don't know. Everybody has... Everybody has their own thing that no matter what it is, it will just make them it doesn't matter. They'll spend their money on it. And that's where marketing comes into play. And I'm just going to plug in our laptop here. Okay, real fast, can you guys hear the fan on our computer? Is it like going crazy in the background? Can you hear that? Okay. All right, I knew that. I can hear it here, and the thing's like winding up for I don't know why, but it's going crazy. But everybody has their own just magic button in anything in the world. Some people, it's collectible dolls. Some people, it might be a certain team and a collectible baseball cards or football card. I don't know, something like car parts. Like some people are into Mustangs, Camaros, BMWs, whatever it is. Everybody's got their own little thing that doesn't matter what it is. They got to spend money on it. If you're an Apple geek, it's going to be if Apple has a new product. Just wait till the new Apple Watch comes out. You haven't seen nothing yet. You'll see that. That's a company that's going to, make half their revenue from a watch coming up, which is crazy. And it's amazing to see it. But it's all because no matter how stingy we are, we all have a certain trigger points on money, and that's where marketing comes in as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like how they say that you go to a trailer park and they'll all have their cable TV antennas. The way that they value cable TV is more than they value some other things. And they'll have their iPhones, but they're still broke. So it's all a perception of what's important to that person.
Yeah.
the value that they place on that cable television is more important than other things. And it's just it's
Yeah,
interesting.
now I had a friend of mine growing up, and his mom and dad actually lived in a mobile home park, like a trailer home park. And he was a really good friend of mine growing up. And the family was great, but this is the one time where I felt really bad going to school with him as well, because he was always picked on because he lived in a trailer park. But as we got older, and here's the interesting part, he went and traveled with his family every single year. And the reason why they lived in the trailer park was because they would fly all over the world. He would go, and they just take off time out of school, and they homeschool, like they have a tutor that would homeschool them. They get time out of school, and they would go travel the world with their family, and that was what was important to them. And I thought that, as a kid, you're just going to pick on the other person for that. But as we get older, I'm like, shit, I'll go live in an Airstream trailer.
Yeah.
If and then but when you think about
Here
it,
comes that cat.
yeah.
Anyway. She always appears during the hangouts at some point. She has to get herself on camera, so.
Yeah.
Now we've lost the train.
No, I still have it, but that's where perception is not always reality, and there's sometimes where you think perception is reality, but when it comes to money, it actually isn't the case. Perception is not always reality. It's money can buy a lot of things, and people say it can't buy happiness, and as we all know, look, I've been broke and I've had money, and I've been upset when I've been broke, and I've been upset when I've had money, and it makes it a lot easier when I've been upset with money. It is what it is. You can say it however you want. It doesn't make me any different of a person inside. It doesn't make me a shallow person. It just means that I've had my highs, I've had my lows. I'll take the highs and the lows, but only with money involved. That's just one less stressor that I don't need.
Our cat is rubbing on the computer.
Yeah, she's behind our laptop.
She's behind it and rubbing on the angles, so it's shaking
funny.
the computer right now. So
Come here.
sorry
Come
about
here.
that.
Come here.
We have it positioned in a different spot today.
Now she thinks it's playtime.
Yeah, now she thinks it's a game. So if the camera's going like this, you know why.
That's all right. But, my friend growing up, I'm not going to say his name, but just as we got older and then he went on and moved on, he ended up buying a house when he got older. But the one thing he did, though, was now he takes his children on vacations every year like that. Now, and they're not just like 1 week here, 1 week like 1 week a year. It's like, hey, we're gonna go spend 3 days in Mexico, and they go do that. And then, we're going to Iceland. They'll go do that. And that was something that he did. Gosh, and he started doing that like once he graduated high school and college and everything. And that was what's interesting too, is he still put himself through college, regardless of where someone comes from or anything. But the bond that his family has too is something where I look back and honestly, my family never had a bond like that. To this day, it doesn't. And that's one of those things where a bond between people is more powerful than money. It really is. A bond between common people united towards something good is way more powerful than anything else that you can put together with money. Mm-hmm. It really is. And I think, as we've heard, it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong, but as long as you're united in that same belief, that's what's more strong.
Yeah.
We see it all around the world. We see it, you saw it with Hitler, you see it with ISIS, you see it with Christianity, you see it a lot with religions. And then you see it with politics as well. Then you see it with education systems. And then even to a fundamental level, you'll see it with 2 5-year-old kids as well, in cahoots together to do something bad, or it's they're out playing, not knowing they're doing something bad, but you can just scheming, Mm-hmm. But that's the only way that kids learn, I guess.
Yeah.
Not really talking money now, but
yeah, definitely. It's really all about the mindset. And if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, there's a perfect example. If somebody thinks, well, what if I quit my job and become an entrepreneur and it doesn't work? And if you think that, the feelings that that thought is going to give you are fear, anxiety, nervousness. You're going to get all these negative thoughts. But why not think to yourself, what if I quit my job and I become an entrepreneur and it does work? What if you thought that? How different would it be? You would have feelings of excitement, happiness, positivity. I mean, in no way, shape, or form am I telling anybody to quit their job and, you know, get started with our community right now. You're free to do that, but that's not what I'm saying. It's just an example, and that's a lot of how people think. They think, oh, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, what if this doesn't? Well, what if it does? How about we switch that thinking and think, what if? What if I can make a decision today, and what if I will do whatever it takes to get there for however long until? What if I decided to do that today and hit the button below? What if I did that? What if I could eventually provide a lifestyle for my family through the power of passive income, residual income? Because when people really understand the concept of residual income, they'll run through a brick wall to get it. And I think a lot of people don't really understand what it means and how it is they can achieve that. And that's what you learn once you get inside our community. And, you know, we have been talking about money this whole time, so we do want to say that, you know, our results are not typical, as we're not typical, and our income disclosure is at the bottom of this page, or you can go to income.maverickslifestyles.com. We're not guaranteeing any kind of results here. You know, we like to be honest about everything. When people say, you know, does this work? And the question is not, does this work? The question is, do you work? Are you willing to work? Because everything works, nothing doesn't. Are you willing to work? Is the question that you should be asking yourself right now, because we are here to help you along the way if you're serious, if you're ready to make a decision and switch your mindset. You know, this is what we've been talking about this whole time. It's such a small shift in the mind that can create such a huge impact. I mean, I remember when I first got started in this community, the person that I have now become, I haven't changed as a person, but I've certainly grown. I've always believed in the law of attraction, and I kind of got into it back in, I don't remember what year it is, when The Secret came out. You know,
I think that was
2006, I think it was, back then. I don't know, I think it was around that time, but I always loved that kind of stuff. I didn't know too much about it, but, you know, watched The Secret, as most people have. And there was a huge misconception of, you know, if I just visualize and think about the Lamborghini that I want, that it'll just appear. And that's not how it works. You have to work for that. You have to formulate a plan, a strategy to get that result. And at the time, I created a vision board after I saw The Secret. And I had this ginormous credit card debt that I wanted to get rid of. And at the time, I printed out my statement and I put it up on the vision board. I got my liquid paper, and I liquid papered out the balance, and I put 0. And I put that on that board, and I stared at that. And I didn't just think it was going to happen. I knew I had to formulate a plan to get there. And 3 years later, I got there. I was on a contract in South Korea. I was a company manager, professional dancer in a show. And within a couple of months, I paid off that credit card. And I thought to myself, I thought back to that board back home, and I was like, wow, I did that. I put that on that board, I put the 0 there, and now I actually achieved it. Yeah, it might have been 3 years later, but it happened. And it was all because of that action that I took and the conscious effort in my mind to formulate a plan to get back to 0. And that's what I did. So it's pretty powerful when we can actually, you know, shift our minds and think, well, how can I? And yeah, it kind of blew me away.
Yeah, I know that, like, speaking of vision boards, we do this a lot, actually, is we'll go and actually, we'll do it about every 6 months. We'll sit down and we'll go through, you know, what our goals are and or what we've attained. And we have a vision board, goal board, whatever you want to call it. And we got to the point where we looked up and we're like, we got everything on this board except for one thing. Well, actually, 2 things. There's 2 things. I take it back. There was 2 things that we didn't get. But And at first, we were kind of not really shallow, but we put physical, material things on there that we wanted. And then we realized just actually in a short span of time, I mean within 2 years, how easy it actually was to get all those things. And some of those things that we had on there, some of it was actually kind of stupid. Because it's things like, it was during the part where we were changing our mindset, like on what we thought was important and stuff that we want. I mean, one of the things we wanted, when we did this too, we wanted to do this without debt as well. So keep that in mind. Like some of the stuff on our vision board that we had, we wanted to gain these things without debt. So that when we got them, it wasn't like we then were like shifting, saying, "Oh yeah, I went and got it. I just slipped my credit card. Poof, there it is." You know, secret that. But you know, we went and like one of them was we wanted a new TV, and I think actually, Alesha, when you first met me, I had like these. I had like the smallest little, because I never really watched a lot of television at all, and I had like the most rinky-dink TV in the world.
Yeah, it wasn't a flat screen. It was one of those older ones.
Yeah, it was like a I don't even know
ones.
how big the thing was, but it looked like, I don't know, it looked like the size of like a large lunchbox. Like the thing was tiny, like 12 inches. It was not big at all, and it actually had a built-in DVD player and everything in it. So I was like, yeah, that thing's good to go. Like, I don't need another one. And then finally later on, I was like, well, I just want one. So we went and got one, and then now it's kind of like, why do we even really need that? Because we don't really even watch it that often. And we actually ended up watching TV more, and then we kind of screwed ourselves because we got, you know, we're like, oh, well, I don't have a problem. Let's get DirecTV. And then we're like, oh, crap. We just, like, face-palmed because now you're in a contract, and you hate what you're getting, and...
Yeah, we were in the middle of shifting our mindset. So
yeah, we never even, it was like we're paying for something you want. But either way...
We got rid of it.
Yeah.
We didn't get rid of the TV, we got rid of the kids.
Either way, though, we went and we actually got all the things that we wanted on the vision board except for two things. And so one of them is a house and that we want to have built for us and paid off, though, when we build it. And I'm sure that actually just can't happen. You can't just pay cash for a house. But I'm sure that they're gonna say, oh, you have to finance it and then give them money, and you know the problems of having money, I guess, is you can't spend it. So, but we already know the builder we want. We know the location we want, like where we want it at. We actually have between like 2 locations we want. But we know exactly what we want. We've already envisioned it, and it's just something where no matter what. We're going to stay in the game until we get that. She stayed after her credit card debt until it was paid off. And there was just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Same thing with what we want with the house. You know, this business is going to go until we can reap the benefits of building a home that we want. And it's things like that that are actually important. You know, the bond of going through that and you know, the feeling of that. That's the true American dream. You know, it really is. And that's the dream of pretty much almost everybody around the world. You know, even with people in like third world countries, like villages and stuff in Africa, people only really need certain things. You need clean water, like fresh, clean water. You need shelter. You need food. Those are really the only 3 things that we need as people. And then if you're an entrepreneur and a marketer, you need an internet connection. Like that's the 4th other thing that you really need. And other than that, that's pretty much it. So when we looked at what was important in our life, it's actually each other, it's our friends, it's our family, it's the bonds, it's the experiences of what we have. And I can tell you what, right now, you know, anymore, I'll spend every dime I have knowing that I can have some of the best experiences of my life. Even if tomorrow, like if I knew that today was my last day, what would you guys do? You'd spend every dollar you had to have those experiences. Just the best experiences you can have. And with running your own business and through marketing and through educating yourself and sticking in the game until you have those things, there's really no other way about living life, because you'll pay no matter any amount of money when we all come to terms with everything. When we're facing our own final date, we'll spend any amount of money to have one more day and have one more experience with other people. And I was driving home the other day, And I was actually driving back from San Francisco up towards Sacramento, and it was kind of dreary. And I don't listen to the radio a lot, but some song popped on, and for some reason it was an Incubus song of all things. I don't even know what song it was, but it just made me think, like, what's my end date? Like, when is it? What's, like, we all have a finite number of days, and the lyric said, "Do the math." And then I thought about it, and I almost wrecked the car. I was driving, and I was just like, "Holy crap!" Like, what am I doing? Like, what's important right now? Like, why am I repeating the same insanity? Now, and that really made me think. Now, look, I'm not saying, like Alesha said, don't run out and quit your job or anything like that. I mean, I really like what I do still. I still like my job, and I'm going to keep doing, like, excelling in what I do in my career. The same thing as what I'm going to do in our business. We're going to keep excelling and growing. By no means am I telling anybody just up and just say, F you to your boss and just run out the door. Cut me a check for my vacation pay and I'm out. No, I'm not saying to do that at all. That's not what this is about. This is actually about growing, your part-time business until it can turn into your full-time business. Now, some people, that might be very, very fast. And other people, it might take you 2-3 years. But if you're the one that sticks in the game, and you can stick in the game until you have the results that you want and you have that shift that you need, it's all, you would look back on those 2 years prior, those 3 years prior. And I know people that worked 7, 8, 9, 10 years until they had their big breakthrough. But now, looking back, those are people that are like, you know what, I was just grinding a little bit longer than other people. That's all. And now they wouldn't turn around and change that experience that they went through for any amount of money that they had. They'd be like, no, I wouldn't change a thing. I'd stayed in it until I got what I needed. And that's really what we all have to do as well. We just have to stick with it until we have the results that we're looking for. Every time you go to an event, every time you get around like-minded people, those are the times where you can pick each other's brains openly. You can ask educated questions. A lot of people think that it's some big secret on what other people do online, and really what it is, it's consistency. It's really consistency in marketing. It's consistency in your message. It's consistency in your presence. It's showing up. 90% of it's just showing up. Yeah. You do your best and forget the rest. You get there and then just do your best you can. A lot of times you show up to places. What's the hardest part in the morning if you have a job? What's the hardest part? Just showing up. Just getting there. Dragging your ass into work. That's the hardest part. That is. Because once you're there, you're on autopilot. You're like, crap, I've done this 100 times. And that's where if you're talking about leadership and you're in a management level or a high-level CEO or anything like that too, you're constantly growing as well. And what keeps high-level CEOs more engaged as well is they're constantly stretching and evolving themselves. They're reading books, they're going to seminars, they're getting the information they need, they're surrounding themselves with like-minded people as well, so they can grow their company and their business further for their people as well. And that's really what you're doing, the same thing. When you're doing it, you're wearing all those hats in your business. And you're doing all those things for yourself now. And that's what's shifting on it.
Yeah.
But what boils down to, though, when you look around, and we're human beings, and I mean, look, we're going to go around and we're actually going to compare ourselves to other people. It's what we do. Is it right? No, but we do it all the time. And so really what we're doing is we're sabotaging ourselves, because what we don't realize is we don't see those 9, 10 years of those people actually putting in the time earlier in their life going, I'm a lost soul. I don't know what the hell's going on. Should I end my life? What should I do? Like, this is difficult stuff. This is hard. Why am I not doing as good as Bobby over there? In America does it all the time. Why do you think that people are buying McMansions every day? Why do people go out and stretch themselves and to get, let's say, okay, we will now give you a $1.2 million loan. This is crazy. Do you know how much a house in San Francisco costs right now? Holy cow. It is mind-boggling. Just get like a basic house where you could go get the same thing in like Ohio or anywhere else, like even in Florida, for like a third of the price. These things are like just stupid money right now. And if you're looking to make a lot of money, go into real estate in San Francisco if you're good at selling houses.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow! Because those things, I mean, just I looked at it and was like, how many zeros did you say?
Yeah,
For
I think
that?
it's the highest in the country.
It's the highest in
isn't
the
it?
nation right now.
Yeah.
Like it is.
It's crazy, but we often we see the glory, but we don't know the story, as we like to say. I mean, our founder David Wood, he struggled for 7 years, 7 years before he had success, and now he's a multimillionaire. And he earns over 6 figures per month. 6 figures per month. He was broke, he was homeless, living in a van. He struggled for 7 years. But do you think he would give back a single day of that for what he has created now in this transformational community we're all a part of? He wouldn't give back 1 second of that, because that was his process that he had to go through. That was his journey. Okay, some of us might take 10 years, some of us might take 1 week. It all depends. We're all on our own journey. And as you mentioned, the key is the consistency. Staying consistent with your message and taking action every day. So
well, look at your blog. Like we can use your blog for example. Because you just looked at some of the stats earlier today, correct?
I think so.
Yeah, it was earlier today. You were talking about some of your stats, and you had gone through, and at the beginning, when you first create like a website, you can go to Alexa and you can see where your worldwide rankings are and everything, and you can see the traffic coming in, and that correlates pretty much into your lead flow as well. Like if you actually have a good lead capture system set up, you actually have a good message, you actually are wanting to inspire people, and actually you're providing goodwill, people are actually going to want to know what you have to offer. And driving traffic at first, I mean, for the first couple months, what was it like? When you first got on, you're like, man, it's just...
Yeah, well, it was challenging. I mean, and we have a 21-day blogging challenge going on in our community right now. And, at the very beginning, you think, oh, well, this is, everything's hard the first time you do it. I think that's how I'll describe it. And everything gets easier the more that you practice it and you do it daily. And, you don't see the results straight away, but over time, if you keep doing something, I mean, it takes 21 days to form a habit. That's why we have 21-day blogging challenges. And I'm actually blogging every single day, and I want to blog for 365 days of the year, same as Sheena. That's what I'm actually doing right now. I made a decision to do that. When we started our first challenge, I kept going. I didn't stop. And now we're into our second challenge. And, now... I'm getting anywhere from 500 to 1,000 visitors per day to my blog, to my valuable content, and I'm getting leads coming in almost daily. Now, that wasn't happening at the beginning because I was learning, and I'm still learning to this very day, but the results come over time. I think that's the point that we're making here, is that, we don't know anything when we first get started. I'd never blogged before. I didn't know what I was doing when I came into this community. I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't know anything about marketing, but I wanted to learn. And you have to be willing to want to learn something and learn new things and take in the information, and you do it consistently over time, and it brings in results. And, blogging is actually our foundational product here. And when you get in and get started, that's what you will receive to begin your journey and start creating your message and your vision out to your target market. So it's really important.
But now what's happened though it's become a part of what you do. It's become a part of you. Now there's days where I'll if I sleep in, I'll wake up and she'll be actually out at the desktop computer, just going to town. Just having a blast. And I'm like, I was like, have you ate yet? She's like, no, I gotta write my blog. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'll just roll back to bed. But, she's consistent with it. And
yeah, when I'm focused on something, that's all I see. I'm like a lion or a tiger. That's all I see. All distractions are cut out. I'm just focused, and the same thing with my workouts. I work out every day. It's part of my lifestyle. It's part of who I am. I'm also a professional dancer, so you have to realize that these things have to become a part of your life in order to form a habit. and it's not something that you have to think about. You just do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that all ties back into too as well, is all those habits, they tie back in with money and how we do it as well. And how that ties back into it is because, you know, if she writes a blog post and it's actually really good and she's gaining a lot of traffic, like general traffic with it, we can then take that blog post and we can actually syndicate it in certain ways, and we can also kind of boost it in our own way by taking in running related content and related articles from different websites. I mean, we can syndicate it in different ways, but without being willing to take that money and actually say, you know what, this is really good. We want to spread this information with more people. Without looking at money in the right way, you would never even look at money to say, okay, well, let's do that. Yeah. And you'd just be pessimistic with the results of it as well. And, you know, one thing too with money is, if you look around to, you know, the five, six, like, group of people that you surround yourself with on any one given day, like in 1 week or whatever, like your core group of or circle of people that surround you, you know, your income is directly related to, like, the average kind of around what those 5 people around you have. And it's true. It actually is true. You know, so that's why we need to be constantly stretching ourselves and looking outside of our own circle to build bigger circles. You know, and if you're the smartest one in your circle,
you need to find a new circle.
Find a new circle. Stretch yourself. You know, and as I've heard Aaron say a lot of time, Aaron Rashkin would say all the time, he would say, you know, what's some of the worst phrase in the English language is, I already know that. Those are the 4 worst words that we can tell ourselves is, oh, I already know that. I don't need to hear that again. Wrong. That's why people go to church every week, is so they can reset they can surround themselves back with people that believe in the same thing they believe in. They come together and they meet. That's why we have our events. That's why we have these things. You know, and the cool part about, you know, us coming together like this is, you know, with everybody is that, you know, if you're out there and you don't have a family, you don't have a big group circle of friends and stuff like that, you can build one with us. You know, we're all open here. I mean, am I saying that we're going to chat with you for 5 hours on Facebook message? No. I will cut that off fast. But what I'm saying is that we provide guidance quickly to each other when we need to. And it's all just about asking the right questions in an educated way. And also sometimes be willing to do it. Now, I get questions all the time. Well, like, dude, like, what are you doing? Where do I start? Well, you start by clicking the button below. You start by clicking the button below and actually investing in yourself. You know, any education you give yourself, no one can ever take that away. You are investing in yourself. You know, this is stuff that no matter what happens, no one can ever take away what you'll learn and what you'll gain. Now, I tell a lot of people when I'm training a lot of people too is that I'm going to make you go into some uncomfortable scenarios. Stuff's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel weird. You're going to feel awkward. You're going to feel out of place. But if someone's there to hold your hand with it through the process and kind of guide you along, you're going to come out the other side okay. You're not going to be dead. You're not going to die. You're not going to have broken bones. No one's going to punch you. You know, you're just going to click the button below and, you know, go ahead and get started with us, and then start talking the language that we talk. You know, you'll start being able to communicate more effectively with us, and you'll actually know what we're all about a little bit more. Now, the question always comes is, well, what am I selling? And I love that question that some people think. They're like, oh, well, what am I selling? Well, you're selling the same thing as actually hoping to such change. And that's really what you're selling. You know, we have all the products, but it's the same reason why you go to college. Someone told you that you needed to go. It's the right thing to do. You got to go. I'm not knocking college at all. What I'm saying, though, is it's what you do with that education. And I can tell you that I have never once in my adult life after college been asked for someone to see my degree. Not once. I got pissed off and drunk one night, and I lit it on fire. I did. I was so upset with it one time because, like, I was just freaking out, and I was like, you know, this is bullcrap. You know, I was like, I don't really get what's going on. I took my degree off the wall, I broke the glass out of it, and I lit it on fire in my fireplace. I made a video about it at one point, but I don't think I ever posted it. I'm going to have to see if I can dig it out. Because I didn't get it. I had so many friends that are around me that were going to college. They got into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, especially if you're going to grad school. And then what? There's so many people now that they can't apply it. And I'm serious. Like, we live really close to UC Davis, and we live near Berkeley. Now, we have some high-level colleges around us. We're around like one of the technical hubs of the world. But there's so many people that don't have jobs from this college that they're going to, and they're going into debt that they're going to be spending years, I mean years, to pay off, let alone throw a house on top of that. There's no financial education really going on in our society, and people are kind of getting taken for a ride. And that's what I don't like. But I can tell you that what you learn in here and what you invest in yourself with this, you click the button below, invest in yourself, start learning stuff that can actually help you make money on the back end. That's the stuff that you need. That's the stuff that your mom and dad, most parents don't sit down and talk to you about how credit works. Most people, the most basic education for finance you get in American education anymore is how to balance a checkbook. That's what you get. Other than that, yeah, you'll get some advanced algebra, some calculus, stuff like that, but you won't get actual true finances. You won't get it at all. You got to go to specialty school for that. And even then, you got to know the right stuff in that field. You really do.
Yeah, I mean, you can get in with us and get started for a fraction of a college education. Fraction. If that. So, I mean, yeah, if you guys, anyone below, have any final thoughts before we close out today? I think we're going to have to bring it to a close pretty soon. So, Stephanie, you're unmuted first. I'll bring you out.
Okay. All right. Thanks, John Paul, for the awesome stories you've told. I really enjoyed it. Now, it kind of got me thinking, and I realized, John Paul mentioned that a lot of people ask, first of all, when they come in, they ask us, what are we selling? Well, yes, we are selling information products, okay? However, what we're selling is, number one, we're selling to help you find your why. And then you're going to take that, and you're going to learn the how. And these are the categories that we are going to help you develop in. Okay, visual, organization, tactile, and psychomotor. Visual means we're going to help you. I don't know if you guys have heard of Piaget's cognitive theory, where you learn from concrete to abstract. You're going to learn the concrete aspects of money to the abstract aspects of money. And then you're going to formulate some kind of organization in your mind, thinking, who am I? Who do I trust? What am I about? How can I make my presence known in the society to become a service or provide service? Okay, so you're going to learn forms of organization. And the next thing is tactile. You're going to learn how to use your fine motor, use your sensory to understand, oh, when I do this, I like this feeling. So people who are like-minded like me, when I teach them to do the same step and duplicate the same thing, I can guarantee and I know for sure that they're going to have that same feeling. So through that, we're going to build our own tribe and we're going to get there together. Okay? So we're going to develop technical sensory. And then psychomotor is basically what that does is basically we're showing up. Just like what Alesha said, we have to learn to become like a tiger, like a predator. We have to have that tunnel vision of reaching that goal for no matter what. Okay? Now, in order to do that, we have to formulate some sort of a muscular motor functionality, whether it's typing or whether it's getting up in the morning, even though we don't want to, even though it's like almost like pulling teeth, we're getting up, right? Because half the battle, or sometimes more than half the battle, is showing up, right? So that's all the muscular motor system to understand in the process of reaching our goal, reaching our success. So all of that, those 4 categories are related to attraction, producing money, and using the money in a proper way where we no longer live in a broken mindset. We begin to live in the prosperity mindset. Okay? that's basically what I have to share in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff, Stephanie. Thanks for sharing. It's always great to have you on the Hangouts. You've always got so much value and interesting perspectives on things too.
I
which
like
really
it. I like when Stephanie comes out because she actually simplifies a lot of like my babbling. She'll like simplify it. Like when she said concrete to abstract, I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted to say, like that, like what. Yeah, I just said it in a longer way.
Yeah, that's why I like these Hangouts.
You have like-minded.
That's why I like Hangouts. Everybody has different ways of communicating and, getting our message out to people because we all learn and we all hear things in different ways. So sometimes we have to hear it said, a couple of different ways to really kind of get it. So, yeah, it's really good. Miss Sheena, do you have any final thoughts there for us over in Hawaii land there where it's nice and warm?
Land.
Hey guys, when it comes to money, it really all is your mindset. When you're focused on something and you really focus on it, the how-to will come. I remember a time where I needed a certain amount of money. And I kept on thinking about it in my head, right? I just kept on thinking that, I wanted to get this much, right? I was so focused on it. I don't even know how it came up. I did some things I don't even really recall. They were all legal, of course. And, I had it in my bank account. And I was like, holy shit, it came. Why? Because I wasn't thinking I'm not going to get it. I was thinking I am going to get it, right? And there's this thing called I don't know what's it called? I'm going to get it wrong. It's called the reticular active something. Anyways, it's a dumb name. But the main point is, when you tell your brain something, your brain is going to find ways to prove it. So when you want a certain amount of money, like 100 grand, and you keep on thinking about it, your brain is going to find ways to get it, right? When you're going to say, I'm broke, I have no money, yeah, your brain's proving it to you that, yeah, you are broke, yeah, you have no money. So why not start thinking, the opposite, right? Start thinking, I am going to get $100,000. I am going to make $5, $10, $20,000 a month. I am going to sponsor 2 people a day. It's easy. When you train your brain to believe that, your brain's going to find ways to prove it. And that's how the how-to comes to you, right? Because you're telling your brain, you're training it. Kind of like your computer, right? When you put good stuff in it, your computer will work. And if you're watching porn and you get this Trojan virus, what happens? Your computer's, it fizzles. It doesn't work. It starts going crazy. It gets viruses. That's what your brain is like, right? You're putting like Trojan viruses in your head, and that's not what you want, right? You want good stuff in your brain. So start thinking good stuff. Start writing it down. I love writing things down. Right? I love writing it down because I can see it. Sometimes when I forget, I go back to like a book or a list or my phone and I just read it. Because sometimes all you need is a little bit of, a little bit of motivation, a little bit of, just maybe a quote or something, or positive audio or a good book to get your day started, or even a workout. When I work out, I don't put music on. I put good stuff in my brain. I put, audios. If I'm there for an hour, I'm going to turn my running into a online university, right? I take my phone, put headphones on, and listen to a bunch of audio or positive audio because I want to feed my brain with good stuff. And the more you feed your brain with good stuff, the more good things are going to attract you, right? So prove your brain wrong. Stop saying, I don't have money, I don't have enough money. And start saying, I do have more than enough money. I'm thankful for the money that comes in my life. I'm thankful for the money that I get to spend. Because without that money, you wouldn't be able to buy, maybe the kind of shoes that you wanted, or the nails that you wanted to get done, or, getting your hair done, or, even taking your kids out for ice cream, right? So, that was my last.
Now, Sheena, like when you were one thing too is like I know that you basically had the opportunity to live almost anywhere in the world that you wanted, kind of, correct? Like before you went to Hawaii.
If I wanted to, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's interesting, where that's exactly the power of money is you can do great things. Sheena, you're originally from Canada, and Sheena chose just to live in Hawaii to surround herself with fun in the sun and actually just live a comfortable life for half a year. You can't just up and do that without money. Can't do it. sorry, that doesn't just happen. I mean, it's hard to get, the hobo ticket to Hawaii. It's hard to do that. You can't hitchhike to Hawaii, so it's not like, you know what I mean? It doesn't happen easy. So, I thought that was interesting hearing you talk, just because I've just looked back to kind of, where you've come from, where you're at, stuff like that. I always think it's really good to always reflect back. And, you couldn't have done that without just looking at money in a different way than a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, when you focus on something, you'll do anything you can, right? You find ways to get there, find ways to do things, right? I mean, before I got here, I would have everything about Hawaii. I would have my phone, a picture of Waikiki Beach, my screensaver, the same thing. Had some Hello Kitty, keychain with her in a grass skirt, things like that. I even had a secret Pinterest board where I post stuff or places where I want to go when I come here. So, I just visualization is so big, right? And if you can't see where you're going, you're not going to want to do the stuff. You're not going to want to click the join button below. You're not going to want to work your ass off to live the life of your dreams, right? I mean, when I see people traveling to places, I know there's one person who's traveling to Asia for 2 months. He wouldn't be able to do that without having passive income, I've seen another person moving to Bali for the same reason, right? And we are all thankful for the opportunities that we have, and if it wasn't for this, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's awesome. Yeah.
When I couldn't help think about it when you said, with computers, when you're saying your analogy, with feeding your computer, good stuff, and you said, you go watch porn, it's going to start, fizzling out on you and everything. It's going to be acting up. I leaned over to Alesha and I was like, oh, that's so funny. I can say that, what happened to your computer? Oh, I got syphilis. Like.
Well, I mean, it's true, right? Most porn sites have a lot of viruses.
That's so funny. That's so. Yeah, it's true though. It's so.
Not that I know. I'm just told.
I know. I'm just saying. Like, it was a great analogy.
Yeah, what you get is what you get out.
Exactly. Really funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
That was great.
All right, so Chris, before we close out, you have any final thoughts to share with us?
I was going to wear my Pats jersey for you, but I decided to be nice.
Nice.
So what I'm hearing over and over again, everybody here saying is the visualization is really what makes the difference. You need to see yourself where you want to be before you get there. The same thing goes for money. You need to, if you have a goal, a money goal, you need to see that. Like Alesha did with her credit card bills, putting that zero image in there. You could do the same thing the other way around, and maybe write yourself a check with an amount on it, the amount that you want to see on that check, and have that visualization. You need to see it and believe it before you're going to achieve it. I think I just made that up. I might have read it or heard that somewhere, but believe it. You need to believe it and see it before you achieve it. It really comes down to visualization and believing in yourself and believing before it'll happen. So, like you said, sometimes you don't see that. Some people may take years to get there. They're going through their growth period, and some people just happens right away, and it comes down to visualization and really seeing where you can be rather than where you are.
Yeah.
So
it's true. I think. Did you read Psycho-Cybernetics? How many people here have read Psycho-Cybernetics? Anybody? All right. Is that the book where he actually talked in part of it about going through like the golf swing mechanics with golfers and stuff too, where they have people just not go out to a golf course, and they would actually visualize their perfect swing, all the mechanics of it, and they would also visualize how far they hit the ball, how accurate it was, how it swayed, all those things. They would practice it over and over and over and over again in their mind. And I think he did it with basketball players, all kinds of different people he did it with, just to prove that it was not just a fluke thing. And the results were amazing. They actually outperformed, some of the people that were trying to consistently focus on just changing one part of the mechanic. And that's the same thing. That's the power of visualization. I know that one of what is, speaking of like online marketing or just in the digital space, I guess so to speak, Frank Kern. Frank Kern did a big talk about how he originally started and what he went through to get to where he was at. And one of the things he did was he actually sat down and did it like a huge visualization process. Took him, I think, 2 days to really iron everything out fully to what he wanted. And then when he got on stage, he was talking about this, and he reflected back and he said that what scared me, or not really what scared me, but what I realized, and he said it was just freaky how it happened, was he was in his bathroom looking around to like literally like 3 years before that, to where he had done this visualization exercise. And the house that he lived in now was overlooking the beach that he had visualized in a certain way, and he was able to have the perfect morning to a T with his daughter and with his wife, what they ate, what they drove in, what kind of cars, vehicles they were driving, all the way down to what they did at nighttime, things like that. And when he said that, it just kind of came to him when he was looking around in his bathroom going, wait a minute, this is exactly what I had envisioned years ago. I have everything that I had put on there, like in my exercise. And visualization processes are just amazing. You can't really do almost anything a lot more powerful than that, other than taking the action behind the visualization afterwards when you're done with it. Those two things combined are extremely powerful, and I'm glad that you brought that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Well, with that being said, I mean, all that's left now is for whoever's watching right now, you're still watching for a reason. You can hit that button below and take action and get started today, because we all deserve greatness in our lives. Every single person on this hangout, every single person watching, you as a human being are priceless in value. You really are. You're priceless in value, and it's your birthright to be wealthy. It's your birthright to have and prosper in your life and have the freedom in your life that you desire. And we have the system and the tools that can get you where you want to go if you're willing to work and take action. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's been awesome fun, and I know I've learned a lot. There's been some amazing value that's been shared by everybody here today. A lot of great golden nuggets, and we want to thank all of our viewers as well for sticking with us and being here with us each week. And if you're new, we'd love to see you here again next week. We'll be here at the same time in the same place with another awesome topic. And until then, we'll see you all soon.
I got a good one for next week, so it's good.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
All right.